Heading number 3, independence and disclosure of interest. Simply means that for someone for whom you are executing the assignment, there should be complete independence. That means you should not have any kind of other interest other than the valuation that you are doing for that client, and that is independence and disclosure of interest. And remember, so not only you have to be independent, but you also must disclose any interest that you may have. Number 4 is confidentiality. Obviously, when you are doing valuation for a client of yours, you are going to be privy for so many informations about that client, and that means we have a responsibility to maintain that confidentiality. So whatever information that we may gather in the process of the evaluation, we have to ensure that there is an absolute confidentiality maintained as far as our client is concerned. Information management is the heading number 5. So under the information management, what is expected as part of the model code of conduct is to ensure that all the records are maintained, and as per the model code of conduct, we are required to maintain the records of the clients for a minimum period of 3 years. And when I say minimum period, that means in case if valuation that you have done for a client of yours, and if this matter has gone for judicial proceeding for whatever reason, then until the time that judicial proceeding is settled, you will be required to maintain the records of that client, of that valuation that you have done. So this is about the information management. Gifts and hospitality, understandable. Obviously, if I am expecting a gift from a client, then which is over and above the professional fees that I am getting from my client, obviously is going to lead me somewhere consciously or subconsciously to do some compromise, and that is what is not expected from a professional valuer. And nor you are expected to accept hospitality, meaning what? Meaning the client just with an objective to influence your decision making or to influence your valuation might offer you hospitality. You, as per the model code of conduct, these are to be simply denied and not accepted. And remember, it works both ways. So neither as a valuation professional we should accept hospitality or accept any kind of gifts from our clients. Likewise, we should also not do it. So we should also not offer any hospitality or any gift to any of our existing client or a prospective client or an old client. We should not do that, and that is clause number 6. Clause number 7, remuneration and cost. So the clause number 7 talks about remuneration and cost. And what does it mean? It means when you're doing an assignment for the valuation of land and building, obviously you're going to charge a certain amount of fees, and therefore you have to ensure that the fees that you charge is not disproportionate to the service that you're going to render either way. Now, what is the meaning of either way? The meaning of either way is that neither you should overcharge a client. Yes, please.
Hello sir, sorry to interrupt.
Yep.
I think we're not seeing the people.
No, it's okay. This is all now impromptu. PPT is over.
Oh.
Yeah, PPT is over. So this is all impromptu that I am talking to you now. Yep. All right. So remuneration and cost, but thank you in any case for reminding. Remuneration and cost, what does it mean? It simply means that it should not be disproportionate either way. That means as a professional, you should not indulge into undercutting. As a professional, you should not indulge into overcharging. And both these things are to be taken care of as part of the clause 7, and that is remuneration and cost. And finally, friends, clause 8, the heading 8 is about occupation, employability, and the restrictions. Now, having given this broad understanding about the model code of conduct as per Rule 12E of the Registered Valuers and Valuation Rules 2017, now, friends, what we will do, we will look at these headings and these clauses under each of the heading one by one. Please remember, as part of your exam, you will have certain questions coming from these rules. And one question which I have seen is quite common is, as per the model code of conduct, the valuation records are to be maintained for how many years? 3 years, 5 years, 3 years, 5 years, 4 years, 6 years. And if you understand it, you will simply say it is 3 years. So that is what it is. Now, number two thing that I would like to mention, that unless and until you listen to it very attentively, you would see that some of the clauses may sound to be overlapping, and you really have to be very clear about all such overlappings so that your understanding is clear. And in case if there is any question about that particular aspect of the model code of conduct, you should be able to answer it confidently and correctly. So let's look at the first one, integrity and fairness. So under this integrity and fairness, friends, there are 4 clauses. So the clause number 1 is a valuer should, in the conduct of his business, follow high standards of integrity and fairness in all his dealings with his clients as well as other valuers. So that means what? That means as a valuer, you will not only be dealing with your clients, but many times you would also be dealing with co-valuers. So it is quite possible that a property which is being valued, you are there, and besides you there are 3-4 other valuers also indulge into that valuation. And in that case, maybe some of them have been appointed by you also, or you have been appointed by somebody to help him in the valuation. So that is where it is expected that you will be adhering to the integrity and fairness. Number 2, a valuer should maintain integrity by being honest, straightforward and forthright in all professional relationship. So कहने का क्या मतलब है? कहने का क्या मतलब है? कहने का मतलब ये है that be straightforward in your communication. No going roundabout about whatever valuation that you're doing. So if you need certain information so as to complete the valuation, ask for that information without going roundabout with your client. So tell him this is what I need, and if I need this, and without this I will not be able to do valuation. So be straightforward. Number 3, a valuer should endeavor to ensure that he provides true and adequate information and shall not misinterpret any facts or situation. As a valuer, that is what is expected of us. So obviously, so we have to provide true and adequate information, and we should not try to misinterpret anything which is being given to us with a malefied intention. And that is number 3. Number 4, a valuer should refrain from being involved in any action that would bring disrepute to the profession, and that is part of integrity and fairness. And remember, friends, there can be a question on this. And what can be the question? The question can be bringing disrepute to the profession. This aspect is covered in which of the heads? Integrity and fairness, confidentiality, gift and hospitality, and things like that. And then if you have understood the context, and that is the valuation professional will not do anything to bring disrepute to the profession. Now this relates to the integrity and fairness, and if you understand it, you would be able to answer it correctly. Number 2, the second heading is professional competence and due care. So under professional competence and due care, what are we supposed to do? Number 1, as a valuer, we should render at all times high standards of service, exercise due diligence, ensuring proper care and exercise, independent professional judgment, and that is as part of the professional competence and due care. So high standards of service we have to maintain, high exercise due diligence, पूरा जो काम करना है, whatever work that we are doing has to be absolutely पक्का, no shortcuts, and we have to use independent professional judgment. Now what is the meaning of independent professional judgment? I am the valuation professional, I am doing the evaluation, and I will use my judgment rather than getting influenced by somebody else's judgment. Number 6, a valuer should carry out professional services in accordance with the relevant technical and professional standards. So remember friends, as far as the valuation is concerned, IVSC, International Valuation Standards Committee, has been bringing out the valuation standards from time to time, and they have issued the new valuation standards also, which are going to be applicable from 1st January 2022. So now what we have to do, we have to follow these standards in the valuation. And that means what? That means as a valuation professional, we got to be fully well versed with these valuation standards. So that is number 1. Number 2, technicalities. So you all are going to do the valuation of land and building. So in case of valuation of land and building, certain things may be specified, that this is how it should be measured, and this is how, whatever the technicalities are for valuation of the land and for the valuation of building, you and I got to ensure that we take care of all those technical aspects. Number 7, maintain professional knowledge and skill to provide competent professional services based on up-to-date development in practice, prevailing regulations, guidelines, and techniques. And that is clause number 7. I have become a valuation professional. I have passed the exam. I am a member of IBBI. I have taken the membership. And remember, merely renewing the membership every year and continuing as a valuation professional is not what is expected from every one of us. All of you would be aware by now, in any case, that besides passing the exam, all of us also need to attend CP hours, and which means we have to be part of the continuing professional engagement or professional development program. And that is what we should do, so that we are well versed with the changes in the regulation, in the technical aspects, in the guidelines, or in the rules, and we are able to do the evaluation as per those updated guidelines, rules, and regulations. Should not disclaim liability for his or exercise. So remember, as a valuation professional, you are taking responsibility. And why is the government of India has decided to award this qualification only to competent people? The government of India could have simply do away with any kind of rule, because the valuations were happening earlier also. But there was lack of professionalism. Anybody and everybody, whether competent or not competent, was doing the evaluation. And there were a lot of wrong practices. Unfortunately, those wrong practices still continue. They still not have been completely washed away. But hopefully, they will get washed away in the course of time. So these unprofessional valuers, they would try to put a lot of disclaimers. This is not my responsibility. That is not my responsibility, and things like that. But remember, as per clause 8 of the Model Code of Conduct, no disclaimer. You have to take disclaimers. Of course, you will do, but not for the key things. Something for which you have to take responsibility, you have to take responsibility. You cannot say this is not my responsibility, this is the responsibility of the company. No, that is what is the clause number 8, and that is cannot disclaim liability for the expertise, and that is number 8. Number 9, a valuer should have a duty to carry out with care and skill the instructions of the client insofar as they are compatible with the requirements of integrity, objectivity, and independence. Meaning what? Meaning it is not that you do not have to listen to the client at all as far as the evaluation is concerned. On the contrary, you have to listen to the client, you have to listen to other valuers also. The only thing that you need to take care that such discussions, such instructions should not be contrary to the integrity, objectivity, and independence. That means if the client is asking you something to do which is compromising on your integrity, don't listen. If the client is asking you to do something which is going to compromise on the objectivity don't do it. If the client is asking you to do something which is going to compromise on the independence of your decision making or of your judgment, don't do it. And that is clause number 9 as far as the professional competence and care is concerned. Then we come to the heading number 3, which is independence and disclosure of interest. So what are the expectations of the model code of conduct as far as the independence and disclosure of interest is concerned, and what is the meaning? We have understood what is the meaning. Independence का simple सा मतलब ये है, the simple meaning of independence is whatever you are doing it independently. Independent मतलब the meaning of independence is that you have no other consideration with this client other than completing the assignment and accepting your professional fees that has been agreed between you and the client, period. And that is independence. If the client is your relative, if the client is your friend, if the client is you have some professional interest or pecuniary interest with the client, then independence is gone. If the client is telling you, do this work for me, I will give you some more work in somewhere else, independence is gone. And why independence is gone? Because in such cases there is a full possibility that you would be compromising, or it leaves for someone to compromise. So the clause number 10, which is under the heading on independence and disclosure of interest, it says, without the presence of any bias, conflict of interest, coercion, or undue influence. That means what? That means as a valuation professional, you should be able to carry out your valuation assignments without presence of any bias. So you should not have any bias of any kind, this way or that way. So you should not feel very good about the client and therefore become over generous. And you should also not feel negative about the client and thereby trying to create problem for him or make it difficult for him. So avoid any kind of bias, no conflict of interest. We have understood already. Coercion. So in case if there is a pressure coming to you onto you from any side as far as the client is concerned, don't work under that coercion. Rather be proactive and find out as to how can I avoid this coercion. Need be, you can report to the parent valuation organization that you may be a member of, or discuss with your professional colleagues and find out a solution, but don't work under coercion and under influence. And that is your clause number 10. Clause number 11, a valuer should not take up an assignment or any of his relative or associate is not independent in relation to the company and assets being valued. So that is clause number 11, and that it says that as a valuer, if there is any kind of relationship either with you or with your relatives, then in such cases, under any of the acts or any of the rules, you should not accept that assignment, and you have to be very careful. You have to be very careful. In my experience, friends, if you get a doubt in your mind that there may be a conflict of interest, and that is where you should pause and think and find out as to whether the doubt that you have is true or not. So many people, what they would do when they have a doubt, instead of confirming as to what their doubt is and avoiding that assignment, many people, they would try to see as to how to remove that doubt and still take that assignment. And when that happens, the model code of conduct is completely defeated. Then the clause number 12, a valuer should maintain complete independence in his professional relationship and shall conduct the valuation independent of external influences. Number 13, a valuer should, wherever necessary, disclose to the clients possible sources of conflict of duties and interests while providing unbiased services. So as a matter of fact, friends, so in the report that you would prepare, the valuation report that you will prepare, as per the model code of conduct, you are obliged to clearly declare, and the IBBI came out recently, sometime back, with the clauses of limitation and disclaimers, and that is where it is asking the valuation professional to make a statement in the very beginning of the valuation report that I do not have any kind of conflict of interest. I or any of my team member or any of my relative has got any kind of conflict of interest or other interest other than completing the assignment and receiving my professional fees. And that is what you will need to do as per clause 13. And clause 14, a valuer should not deal in securities of any subject company after any time when he becomes aware of possibility. So remember, the clause 14 says the moment, in case if you're dealing with a listed company, or in case if you're dealing with unlisted company also, doesn't really matter. So in case if you have got an idea that you are likely to be appointed valuer of a company which is listed on the stock market. Now, the moment you get an idea that you are likely to be appointed as a professional valuer of a listed company, you are not expected to deal in the securities of that company. From the moment you come to know that you may be appointed as a registered valuer. Of course, once you are appointed, then the question of dealing into the securities of that company does not arise in any case. But that is what the clause 14 very clearly says, and that is also in compliance with the SEBI Prohibition of Insider Trading Regulations 2015. That is clause number 14. Clause number 15 regarding the independence and disclosure of interest, it says a valuer should not indulge in mandate snatching or convenience valuation. So what is the meaning of mandate snatching? The meaning of mandate snatching is somebody has been offered to be appointed as a registered valuer at a fees, let's say, of 5 lakh of rupees. Now you come to know of this, and you know somebody in that company, and then you call up that somebody and says that, look, I can do this assignment for you for 4 lakh of rupees. Obviously, companies look at from their perspective. So they would be tempted to bypass the first person and give you the assignment by offering you a lower fees of 4 lakh of rupees. And that is mandate snatching. Clause 15 of the Model Code of Conduct clearly prohibits no mandate snatching at all. Neither convenience valuation. So what is the convenience valuation? Convenience valuation का मतलब ये है, the meaning of convenience valuation is that the client asks you, we will pay you so much of fees, you give us the valuation of this amount. So that is the convenience valuation. No, not at all permissible as per the Model Code of Conduct. The valuation has to be what it is. Valuation cannot be as per the convenience of your client. So, and if the valuation was to be given if the valuations were to be given as per the convenience of the client, there was no need for the valuation professionals to be there. Anybody and everybody could have given the convenience valuations, and that is strictly prohibited as per clause 15. And so please remember, friends, there can be a question, what is the meaning of mandate snatching? And they will give you 4 different options. If you have understood what is the meaning of mandate snatching, I am sure you would be able to answer this question without much difficulty. Likewise, there can be a question, what is convenience valuations? If you understood, and I am sure you have understood, what is the meaning of convenience valuations, and they will give you 1, 2, 3, 4 options, and then you have to answer. And I'm sure if your understanding about convenience valuations is clear, you would be able to answer this question without any problem. Clause number 16, not to charge success fees. So the clause 16 of the Model Code of Conduct, clause 16, which is under the independence and disclosure of interest heading, it says not to charge success fees. Now what is the meaning of success fees? If the valuation is going to be 1 crore, my fees is going to be 2 lakh. If the valuation is going to be 4 crore, my fees is going to be 4 lakh. If the valuation is going to be 10 crore, my fees is going to be 20 lakh. And that is success fees. So depending on how much is the valuation, my fees is going to be decided based on that, and that is success fees. So strictly prohibited as per the Model Code of Conduct, clause 16. Valuation professionals are not to ask for, not to charge success fees. Clause 17, there are times when you give fair opinion or independent expert opinion. Now, what is fairness opinion or independent expert opinion? Anybody would like to tell me? Anyone would like to tell me as to what is a fairness opinion or what is independent expert opinion? Anyone? All right. So, what is fairness opinion? Now, SEBI, in case of mergers, uh, has a has made it mandatory for appointment of a valuation expert to give a fairness opinion. Now, what is this fairness opinion? So, in case of a merger, a valuer, a registered valuer, give the valuation, do the valuation of the company. Now, SEBI has made a provision that whether this valuation is fair to the minority shareholder. So the SEBI mandates that over and above the valuation professional who will do the valuation for the purpose of merger, SEBI has made it mandatory that the company will also appoint someone to give as fairness opinion. And what is this fairness opinion? This fairness opinion is this expert who is over and above the registered valuer, he will give his opinion whether the valuation arrived by the valuation expert, whether that valuation is fair for the minority shareholders. So that is fairness opinion. So in case if you are being appointed as a fairness, as an expert to give fairness opinion, then it is your obligation to let it be known that I have done some kind of association in the past with this company. I have had some kind of association or in the past with some company, or I have had any prior engagement with this company, and that is what you are supposed to declare. Any past association that you may have had with the company. So this is not only applicable in case of fairness opinion, it is also applicable in case of independent expert opinion. So fairness opinion will be applicable in cases where the person is being appointed as per the mandate or requirement of SEBI. In case of a listed company, independent expert opinion can be in any case. So somebody has done the evaluation, and just to ensure that the evaluation has been done is fair to all, the company may decide to appoint a third person to act as an independent expert opinion, and in that case you will have to make a declaration and known to everyone as to if you have had any past association with that company. And that's your heading number 8. Heading number 3. Heading number 4, confidentiality. So under heading number 4, confidentiality, there is only one clause, that is clause number 18, and it says a valuer should not use or divulge any confidential information without proper and specific authority. The clause is very simple. Clause 18 about the confidentiality. So you as a valuation professional for any company for whom you are doing the evaluation, you will not be disclosing any confidential information about that company, and if at all you do, that will have to be with the proper and specific authority of that company, unless there is a legal requirement. So if the law requires for you to disclose the information, in that case it is the requirement as per the law, so you have to disclose, you will disclose. You do not have to seek any authority. But if it is not as per the legal requirement, and if somebody is asking for some information about the client, in that case, before disclosing that information, you will need to have a specific permit from the company to divulge this information, and that is confidentiality. And friends, please remember, in today's world, confidentiality is of paramount importance. Everybody and anybody is concerned about the confidentiality. Nobody wants to lose the confidentiality, and as per the clause 18, this is the obligation that we have as a valuation professional. Now we talk about the heading number 5, which is on information management. So under the heading number 5 on information management, clause 19 says that a valuer should maintain written contemporaneous records for any decision taken. So that means what? That means as per clause 19, as a valuation professional, we are supposed to maintain complete record of any valuation that we would do in a way so that tomorrow if somebody has to understand as to how the valuation was done, how the decisions were taken, he should be able to he should be able to come to that conclusion by merely going through those records, and that is the requirement as per clause 19. So maintain the record so that tomorrow if somebody has to come to some conclusion, he should be able to come to that conclusion by going through the records that you have maintained, and that is clause 19 under the heading information management. Number 20, a valuer has to appear, cooperate and be available for inspection and investigation that may be carried out by any registration authority or any person authorized by the registration authority, the business, the valuation professional organization, or any statutory regulatory authority. So that's your clause number 20. So as per the clause number 20, tomorrow, in case if any inspection is to be done, investigation has to be done, it can be by the registering authority, that is IBBI, it can be by the valuation professional organization of which you are a member, or it can be done by someone who's authorized by them, or any investigation or inspection that may be required as per the requirement of any law in this country. So as a valuation professional, you will have to make yourself available and share all the information that may be required in this respect. You cannot say, my job was to do the valuation, I have done the valuation, I have received the fees, valuation report has been given to the client, for me the matter is over, I am not going to now respond to anything. You can't do that. You can't do that, and that is your clause number 20. So make yourself available for any kind of inspection or investigation that may happen in future. Clause number 21, a valuer should provide all information and records as may be required by registration authority, tribunal, appellate tribunal, business professional organization, or whatever it may be actually. So that is, so the clause 20 was for appearing, and clause 21 is for giving the information to the same agencies before which you may be required to appear. And that is clause number 20 is for appearing, for any investigation or for any inspection. Clause number 21, remember, is for giving the information to any registration authority, that is IBBI in this case, or valuation professional organization, or tribunal or appellate tribunal. So you have to give the information as and when it is asked for. Clause 22, a valuer, while respecting the confidentiality of information acquired during the course of performing professional services, should maintain proper working period for a period of 3 years. As I was telling you this in the very beginning of this session, 3 years is the mandatory requirement for you to keep your records. And remember, in case if the matter has gone for any judicial proceeding, in that case, this 3 years limit will not be applicable. The limit can be anything. Until and unless that matter is settled by the judicially, the matter is settled, you will have to maintain the records of the valuation. And that is your clause number 22 under heading 5, which is on information management. Then you have heading 6, which is on gifts and hospitalities, and the clause 23 says should not accept gifts or hospitality, right? So as we discussed in the beginning, so whenever you are accepting any gift or hospitality, obviously there is a full possibility that you may compromise on your independence, on your judgment about the valuation. So agar aapko, if you accept a gift, if you accept some hospitality, so obviously there is a human psychology that you tend to favor a person who is giving you a favor. That is how it works. So avoid, not, it is strictly prohibited, no gifts to be taken, no hospitality to be accepted. And if you do that, in that case you will be independent in your judgment. Clause 24 of gifts and hospitality, of course, is from the other perspective. So you should not offer any hospitality and you should not offer any gifts, because if you are offering gifts to someone, if you are offering hospitality to someone who is likely to give you the assignment, obviously your intention is to offer that hospitality or gifts so that he gives you that assignment, which is unprofessional, unethical, not accepted, prohibited as per the model code of conduct. Clause heading 7, which is on remuneration and costs. A valuer should provide service for remuneration which is charged in a transparent manner, is a reasonable reflection of the work necessarily and properly undertaken, and is not inconsistent with the applicable rules. I think it is self-explanatory. I mentioned it to you earlier also, whatever fees that you are charging should not be disproportionately high or disproportionately low. If it is disproportionately low, there is a chances that you are indulging into mandate snatching. Or if it is disproportionately high, that means you are doing something which is not in the interest of the valuation profession, because tomorrow when the client realizes that he has been charged exorbitantly high, then somewhere his impression about the valuation as a profession will diminish, and that is what needs to be taken care of. Clause 626, a valuer should not accept any fees or charge other than those which are disclosed. सीधी सी बात है, the client, there's a mandate letter that you have issued, engagement letter that you have issued, or the mandate letter that the client has given to you, and in that engagement letter, in that mandate letter, the fees is given whatever it is. So as a valuation professional, you are not to charge any fees in any form other than what is disclosed in that mandate letter or in that engagement letter. And that is your clause number 26 as per remuneration and the costs. And the final clause is clause 8, which is on occupation, employability and restrictions. There are 3 clauses. Clause 27 says a valuer should refrain from accepting too many assignments. So this is very clearly mentioned in the code of conduct that you should not accept too many assignments. And why you should not accept too many assignments? Obviously, if you accept too many assignments, then you will not be able to do justice with those assignments. And if you don't do justice with those assignments, the clients will suffer. If the clients will suffer, they will have a bad image of the profession. And that is why it is clearly mentioned in clause 27 on the model code of conduct not to accept too many assignments. Clause number 28, should not engage in any employment. So please remember, either you can be in service or you can practice as a registered valuer. You cannot do both. So a person who is in the employment full-time or part-time doesn't really matter. So it's not that somebody can say, I'm not engaged in a full-time employment. I am engaged only part-time employment. And since I'm engaged only in part-time employment, that is why I'm practicing as a registered valuer. Remember, not permitted, not allowed at all. Either you practice as a registered valuer or you can practice or you work in a company. You can't do either. And that is what one has to be very, very clear. But if you're a chartered accountant, you can practice as a registered valuer. If you're a company secretary, you can practice as a registered valuer. If you're a cost accountant, you can practice as a registered valuer. On that, there is no restriction, because all said and done, both these professions are interconnected. As a matter of fact, if you're an architect, you can of course practice as a registered valuer for land and building. Or if you're a civil engineer, having your own consultancy, having your own practice as a civil engineer, you're not in employment and you want to practice as a registered valuer for land and building, of course you can do that, because in that case you are not under obligation with anyone else. If at all you are under obligation with anyone, that is you yourself only, and therefore there will not be any challenge. But no, you cannot be in employment with anyone, part-time, full-time or whatever, doesn't really matter. No employment meaning absolutely no employment. And the final clause, that is clause number 29, and it says should not conduct business which in the opinion of registration authority is inconsistent with reputation of profession. So even if you are practicing as a chartered accountant, cost accountant, company secretary, lawyer, architect, civil engineer, doesn't really matter. Even if you are practicing in those capacities, clause 29 very clearly says that you are practicing simultaneously in those capacities of a chartered accountant, cost accountant, company secretary, lawyer, engineer, architect. You can do that. But in those professions also, you should not do anything that will bring disrepute to the profession. So you should not do anything in other profession which is in contrast with the requirement of this profession. Why? Because if I am practicing as a chartered accountant and I'm also practicing as a registered valuer, if I do something in my profession of chartered accountant, something wrong, unethical, obviously it will also rub in my practice of registered valuer as well. and that is clause 19, which clearly mandates that you should not do anything in your other professions that will be inconsistent with the reputation of the valuation professional. So friends, these are the 8 different headings under which 29 different clauses have been incorporated as part of the model code of conduct. If you listen to them with full attention, and if you try and go deep into them, you will realize that what these 29 clauses are talking about is what Samarth and Chhatrapati discussed. It is exactly what Chanakya and those farmers discussed. It is exactly what Ratan Tata wrote about Jamshedji Tata. It is exactly on the same lines that is when Ghanshyam Das Birla wrote to his son B.K. Birla. And that is what you can remember. So basically, if we understand the true meaning of ethics, we do not have to worry about the clauses. Clauses will fall in line automatically. Now with this, friends, we move forward to the next discussion, and that is where what I'm going to discuss with you now is the valuation standards. So before I discuss anything about the valuation standards, I would like to make it open. In case if you have any doubt, any question relating to any of those 8 headings that we have discussed, or relating to any of those 29 clauses that we have discussed, you can please ask me any question in case if you have. In case you want to contribute something about those 8 headings or those 29 clauses, please do so, and I would be very happy to also listen to your views, and then we will come to the valuation standards and valuation report, and then close the session.